All of it begins evolved with inside the darkish a man named Hub is using down a few quiet roads centered on paintings. He's a bounty hunter. His process is to capture those who bypass their courtroom docket dates. This time he is after a man named Jeb Tucker. Everything appears normal. However, something feels off. It's a lure. The Earl brothers are expecting him. They leap him out of nowhere. One of them slashes his throat. They cover his frame in the back of a wall and depart questioning. He is lifeless for positive, but the following morning something bizarre takes place. Hub wakes up inner that wall. He's harmed, however, in some way his wounds begin recuperation on their personal. It hurts like hell, however he additionally feels more potent. He breaks via the bricks and climbs out. The air is bloodless and he is protected in blood and dirt. Nearby a man named Tater is maintaining a fuel link and the Earl brothers instructed him to burn the place. He would not assume anyone's alive till he sees Hub strolling in the direction of him. Tater freezes, scared to loss of life. Hub would not waste a 2D. He grabs Tater, stuffs him with inside the trunk of his vehicle and drives off, leaving the hearthplace process unfinished. Back domestic, it is quiet. Hub appears with inside the replicate. Every reduce each bruise long past his pores and skin is smooth. It's like something magical healed him. However, he would not forestall to reflect on consideration on it. He centered on one aspect: revenge. The Earl brothers attempted to kill him and stole his truck. That truck turned into his mother's. He desires it returned. His mother Kitty has no concept what is took place. She continues bugging him to restore matters together along with his ex Marianne for the sake in their youngster Kate. Kitty additionally spends time with the neighborhood pastor. She desires to get returned into church. However, the pastor has one rule: Hub has to forestall dragging humans out of church. With inside the center of provider, Kitty says she'll speak to him when Hub tells her approximately the stolen truck. Kitty thinks she is aware of who is in the back of it: someone named Lucky, probable employed the Earl brothers. Meanwhile, Hub's Telecel smartphone continues blowing up. Some business enterprise known as Pot Gold may not forestall calling. He ignores it, questioning it is just every other ripoff name. He cannot forestall questioning approximately Lucky, so he makes a full arrest warrant with Lies call on it. He plans to trap him at a neighborhood membership. However, whilst he receives their matters take a flip. Lies now no longer on my own. Marianne is sitting with him there. Son Kate is gambling close by. Turns out Lies dwelling with them now. The second hits Hub tough. He cannot arrest Lucky in the front of his child. Marianne comes up to speak. She's preserving a paper. It's a permission shape to take Kate out of kingdom. She desires to move on excursion and chase her, making a song dream. Hub wishes to speak approximately Lucky, however she shuts him down. She's made up her thoughts. The communicate ends without a solutions. Outside, Hub sees that Lucky is long past. Kate says he left for a poker game. On the Earl brothers' residence, Hub recollects what befell. Remaining time he remains alert and drives cautiously near the street. He spots a person on foot. It is Pastor Ron. Something appears incorrect. The pastor's eyes glow purple and his face suggests no emotion. Hub watches him for a second, however drives on at the Earl brothers' residence. Hub sneaks and he catches the three brothers off defend and takes them down separately. They are taken aback to look him alive. Hub gives them a deal. He says he's going to let them stay in the event that they ship a message to Lucky and set him up. They agree and ship the textual content. However, the person who arrives isn't Lucky. Pastor Ron walks in. His eyes burn with purple mild and his frame movements like something else controls it. Without caution he kills all three brothers. Hub slightly escapes. His vehicle remains in the back of, however his existence is greater vital. Back at home, a person waits on the door. A girl says she is from Pot Gold. She appears calm, however severe. She tells Hub they want to speak. Her phrases are abnormal. She says she is aware of approximately his dying and the reality that he got here. Lower back to existence. Kitty listens from the kitchen. Her face adjustments. She calls the phrases sinful, however something makes her live quiet. She desires to listen greater. The girl explains the whole thing. Hub did now no longer live to tell the tale. Through good fortune his go back got here with a rate. She says his new task is to hunt demons. His 2D danger isn't loose and he now has to paintings for the Satan. Flashback suggests the night time earlier than Pastor Ron's status in the church, solving his garments and combing his hair. Everything appears calm. Then the lights all of a sudden exit. When they arrive lower back on, they start to flicker. A bloodless feeling fills the room. A abnormal photo appears with inside the replicate. From the nook of his eye, Pastor Ron sees the form of something evil. He grabs the holy water and begins to wish. His hand touches the water, however something is going incorrect. A effect of surprise eyes runs through his frame, half of his face burns. Moments later Pastor Ron falls to the ground, his frame turns into nonetheless. However, something else takes manage. The demon enters him at Kitty's domestic matters take a critical flip. Midge tells Hub that he has a desire. If he refuses the activity he ought to go back to hell immediately. Midge makes a decision to live till morning to give an explanation for the guidelines. Some demons have escaped from hell. These demons kill the humans they input. Bondsman ought to seize the demons and ship them again. That is Hub's new activity. Kitty listens, however struggles to apprehend. She desires to understand how Hub ended up in hell. Hub says he does not understand. Kitty hopes there may be a higher deal. Midge remains corporation and says that failure way instant go back to hell. After Midge leaves, Hub heads out of doors. Too easy, his mother's backyard. Kitty alternatives up the guide and starts a evolve to examine. At the equal time Lucky walks into the Earl brothers' region. Something is inaccurate. He seems round and reveals the brothers our bodies they are reduced into portions. Fear rises. Lucky turns and leaves down the street. He sees an automobile. The trunk is barely open. Inside he reveals Tater. Tater blames the whole lot on Hub. Back at domestic, Kitty finishes the guide. She seems critical. She tells Hub to forestall losing time and take his paintings severely. Soon after the first order arrives. A demon, referred to as Villager, is hiding in her. Pastor Ron. This is Hub's first goal. Kitty hears this and refuses to live behind. She joins Hub at the journey to the church. During the force, Kitty maintains asking questions. She desires to understand why Hub went to hell. In her thoughts it is able to be his pleasure. At the church they encounter the frame of Pastor Ron. His face is melted. However, the demon isn't always there. Nothing feels secure. Kitty tells Hub to shield his own circle of relatives. Hub takes her recommendation and signs the paper that lets in Marianne to go away. Metropolis with Kate. Marianne is stressed, however does not forestall him. She additionally stalks that a female named Cheryl has long gone lacking. Before leaving, Hub speaks to Lucky and tells him to satisfy later. Kitty and Hub start trying to find the demon. Kitty maintains considering her sons beyond. She wonders if something she did made Hub turn out to be in hell. The query might not go away. Her thoughts. Hub hears something atypical. People communicate approximately the lighting fixtures on the Jessup Pines recycling middle. They say the lighting fixtures hold flickering. Hub recalls what befell on the church. The demon appears to play with mild. This can be a clue. Kitty does not need to take a seat down again. Her coronary heart is heavy with fear. She asks Hub to store Pastor Ron. In her thoughts she nonetheless hopes the antique guy is in her now, no longer the demon. Her eyes display ache, however her voice remains corporation. She might not permit Hub pass alone. They arrive on the middle. A heavy silence fills the location. Inside they find Pastor Ron. The room is darkish. A bizarre glow comes from the middle. The scene is terrifying. Someone is useless. The frame hangs from the ceiling. A triangle of blood is drawn below it. Pastor Ron stands close by, not searching. Human. Kitty's coronary heart breaks. The reality hits her difficult. This isn't the person she as soon as knew. The actual pastor is long gone during the fight. Hub starts a evolve to lose. The demon is simply too robust. Kitty would not hesitate. She jumps in and facilitates her son. Together they fight. Return. The frame of Pastor Ron burns with hearthplace. As soon as the demon dies, nothing is left. They go away the location quick. Neither of them is aware of that Tater has been looking. He continues his distance, holding up his Telecel smartphone. The information, the whole thing including the instant Hub accepts the activity. From now on there's no turning. Return day. Excessive college cheerleader is going to stay on her social media account. She appears disillusioned and begins evolved blaming some other lady named Kayla. Many human beings watch her and accept as true with the tale. After the stay ends, certainly considered one among her buddies calls to reward her. They each chortle approximately the act, proud of the way nicely it went. Things strayed quick. The cheerleader hears water jogging. Her bathe is on despite the fact that she failed to turn it on. She switches it off. However, it begins evolved once more. All the faucets with inside the toilet start to pour out water. The tub fills up. Without caution, a demon seems grabs her and throws her into the bath. Her frame is going beneath the water and she or he would not come. Returned up far from the scene. Kitty continues considering Pastor Ron. She attempts to apprehend the cause behind the darkish ritual. A part of her nevertheless believes there's something properly in Hub's activity, that perhaps this new course has a motive. Hub makes a desire to spend the morning with Kate. He suggests up at Marianne's residence. Without caution, Marianne, Lucky and Kate are all amazed to keep away from greater anxiety. Marianne concurs to allow Hub take Kate to college. Kate takes the driver's seat. Hub brings up lies beyond. He says Lucky has a crook document and was a part of the mafia. He wishes Kate to apprehend the threat. Kate feels harmed and accuses Hub of looking to wreck his mother's Happiness in the center of the experience. Hub receives a message: a new demon has been assigned. This one is connected to water. He is warned to keep away from letting the demon close to it. Hub makes Cade pass college and asks him to assist via way of means of looking the area. They head to the cheerleader's residence. Cade says the lady's call is Dedra. At the residence, water flows down from the second floor. Hub walks in her. No signal of Dedra everywhere. He calls Kitty to proportion the replays together. They suppose the demon is probably transferring in the direction of a water supply. At the identical time Tater meets Lucky. He indicates him pics from the nighttime earlier than Tater thinks something ordinary goes on. He says Hub and Kitty is probably witches. Lucky doesn't need to listen extra and comes to a decision to manipulate himself. Hub hides the fact from Cade, however asks him to maintain using along the manner they see that a person has opened public water hoses. These look like clues. The path leads them to the county pool. Cade speaks up. He says he and his mom are acting collectively quickly. This makes Hub disillusioned. They had a deal that Toon would wait till Cade turns 18. However, Hub is aware of this isn't always the time to begin a combat. The demon should be stopped first. At the county pool, Hub unearths a useless frame with inside the pool. He realizes it's for a sacrifice with the identical ritual traits as the one Pastor Ron did from the facet. Dedra rushes in the direction of him. Her face indicates no mercy. She pushes him beneath Neth, attempting to drown him. Hub pulls out his weapon. One shot brings her down. Flames upward thrust from her frame and not anything is left. Cade is looking from a distance. He indicates that a person is coming. The sheriff seems right here to test at the sufferer with inside the pool. Hub quick tells Cade to move to Kitty's area to distract the deputy. Hub units up a plan. Cade drives recklessly and pulls interest away. Far away, a Lucky visits Kitty. His tone is bloodless. He warns her to prevent anything she and Hub are doing. Pastor Ron's case will become his weapon. He needs. They live far from Marianne and Cade. Marianne quickly hears approximately the whole thing. She wastes no time and receives Cade out her consider, and Hub begins evolved to interrupt once more. Later every other argument starts. If evolved, Hub attempts to talk approximately the excursion performances. Marianne fires lower back. She believes Hub by no means supported her dreams. She feels he gave up his very own tune and now desires to keep her down too. Cade steps in. His voice is sharp. He says his father's ache has grown to be a weight on their lives. He feels overwhelmed through it. Night comes and the residence grows quiet. Hub drives lower back domestic. His thoughts maintains returning to at least one reminiscence. A hidden fact refuses to live. Buried 1 month ago. Cheryl's frame become laid to relaxation with inside the woods. No one is aware of. Later Hub is lower back with inside the woodland once more, searching on the area in which his mystery nevertheless sleeps below the soil. The deputy sheriff harasses Duke, a neighborhood businessman. He is aware of Duke stole his meals truck and makes use of this fact to maintain him scared. Duke says not anything, however the anxiety is obvious. After making his factor, the deputy returns to his squad vehicle. His palms relaxation at the steerage wheel. The odd strength moves through the automobile. His frame is going nonetheless. A demon enters and manipulates. Hub sits at domestic looking vintage movies of his music days with Marianne. The residence remains quiet, however Marianne's ghost indicates up once more. Her presence follows him. A notification arrives on his Telecel smartphone. Another demon venture seems. The goal is an earth demon named Erdos at the club. Lucky watches Cade and Marianne carry out the lighting fixtures shine down. However, Cade's nerves take over after the argument with his mother and father. He loses self-belief. Marianne attempts to inspire him, however not anything works. Cade stands frozen. His eyes seek the crowd for Hub. Marianne later vents to Lucky. He listens and tells her to reduce Hub off her top. A voice yells from out of doors. People rush in the direction of the sound. Lies automobile is on Hearthplace. Kitty precipitated at the usage of the chaos to sneak into his workplace. Inside she planned life, a gun and a few crystal before she will be able to go away. Marianne unearths her. Kitty asks her to speak to Hub. Marianne asks for Hub's area. Kitty says she does not recognize Marianne, then pulls out her Telecel smartphone and opens their shared own circle of relatives' GPS. Hub lines the deputy's cruiser close to Duke's meals truck. Duke says the person walked off some time in the past. Hub updates Kitty, however refuses to proportion in which he's a supply on the station facilitates him song the sign. It leads him to a nearby shop. Inside the shop, Hub unearths the deputy. His conduct appears off before Hub can do something. Marianne arrives. She needs that he speak to Cade and display that he believes in him. Hub attempts to get her to go away, however she stumbles upon a lifeless frame and screams. Hub pulls her away. Mud at the ground leaves them deeper. Interior. Marianne sees the deputy and thinks he is there to assist. The phantasm ends while he turns violent. Marianne joins the combat. Collectively she and Hub control to kill the demon. The deputy's frame bursts into flames. Fire spreads through the shop. Back at domestic, Marianne cleans up. Hub calls Midge. She sounds amazed that he discovered her deal with, however she gives no records. Approximately the demon sacrifices. She tells him by no means to name. Once more Marianne listens to Hub provide an explanation for the whole lot after what she just noticed. She believes him. She is aware that Lucky is chargeable for Hub's loss of life. The choice comes quick. She is of the same opinion to go away city with Kate and perhaps go back later. Kitty calls Marianne. They rush to Lai's workplace. Police officials are already there arresting Lucky for dealing crystal meth. They additionally locate the gun that Kitty planted. If Lucky talks approximately Pastor on the case will activate him too. Kitty become clever sufficient to area the whole lot in his workplace. Marianne confronts Lucky. She ends matters and tells him to forestall focused on Hub due to the fact he is not a regular guy. After that Marianne and Cade begin packing. Cade feels lighter while Hub tells him he is top sufficient to be a